is scheduled for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first to my left from Cincinnati, Ohio, weighing 245 pounds, Mike Masters. His opponent returns to Madison Square Garden after a lengthy absence, hailing from Tokyo, Japan, weighing 315 pounds, Tor Kamata.
Kamata really taking over on Masters, actually before the bell rang. And despite Kamata's 300-plus pounds, he can really get around the square circle. Quick, agile, and a pretty tough contender. Masters now whipped to the outside with the apron, and that should have really hurt it. Kamata going out after him, I believe. On the apron. A blatant chokehold. Kamata thus far having no regard at all for the official in the squared circle. Masters now back in the squared circle. A right hand reading Kamata in retaliation. Another forearm smash and elbow to the back of the neck. Another one. Kamata still on his feet. Kamata, a really rough contender. Backing away in the corner just a bit. Masters certainly game. He's relatively inexperienced. Nice arm drag takedown. Kamata tries it again. Kamata perhaps having a little more respect for his opponent, Mike Masters. This will be a very interesting test of strength there. Masters perhaps has an advantage. Kamata maneuvering around now.
So, okay, I go walking back there, and who's sitting there but Vince McMahon Sr., Vince McMahon Jr., Bruno Sammartino, and Gorilla Monsoon. I'm standing there, I'm looking, I'm like, humming. I'm doing a Jackie Gleason, you know, because these are guys that I watched from the time I was a little kid. I mean, it was like, you know, getting drafted by the Yankees, and you go to Yankee Stadium, and the first guy you meet is Mickey Mantle. I mean, it was like, holy cow. So, I mean, the wrestling business is pretty rough and gruff, you know. So Monsoon looks at me, he goes, can I help you, kids? I said, yeah, well, I'm supposed to write. Okay, he goes, all right, I'll tell you what. He goes, well, what's your name? I said, well, my name's Mike Jones. He goes, no, we got a Jones already. He goes, we're going to give you another name. He goes, just go outside, put your stuff on, wait there. And he goes, and, you know, we'll tell you what you got to do. Okay, so I go outside now. All the boys are coming in from the interviews. You know, here comes, like I said, Ken Patera and every top guy at the time, you know, Jimmy Valiant and Johnny Valiant and, you know, Bob Backlund and Pedro Morales, and so all these guys are coming in, and you know, I'm sitting there kind of like a geek, you know, just looking around, and you're starstruck. So anyway, they put up a sheet with the matches, who's wrestling who. So they got the Iron Sheik that was there at the time, and Iron Sheik was fighting Bob Backlund for the belt. So you have Iron Sheik versus Mike Masters. I'm sitting there, I'm just sitting there daydreaming. All of a sudden, Iron Sheik's running around. Who's Mike Masters? Who's Mike Masters? He's running around trying to find Mike Masters. So, I don't know Mike Masters. I'm sitting there. So, all of a sudden, Monsoon comes bolting out from behind the curtain because the Sheik's on his way into the ring. Masters, come on, get up. You're in the ring. You're supposed to be in the ring. I'm like, oh, Masters? He goes, yeah, get in the ring. I didn't even know.
We had some great times. We've been all over the place. We've been to Trinidad, we've been to Canada, Europe, Japan, United Arab Emirates, Philippines, wrestling each other some of the time, having great times the rest of the time.
I just have to say hello when he starts laughing. I mean, like we've been so close. I mean, honestly, I'm probably closer with Jerry than I am with my brother.
For the count, outstanding match. And this man Jones is going to be somebody to watch.
Y una patada fortísima en eso contra el golpe al pecho. Y patadas ahí a las zonas medias de Hulk Hogan. Una lo impulsa, pero ahora.
Rough back in the late 70s. Late 70s. Right?
1870s?
Yeah.
The 1870s.
Goes to show you.
Una fuerza. Fuertes contra mil máscaras.
I'm over here.
Let me see.
He makes me feel bad.
Let's compare.
It's close.
I
He's a
feel
little
good
more
with him
bent
around.
than mine is, I think, though. I don't know.
It's like Jimmy Durante meeting Danny Thomas over here. Hey, stay to yourself. This is an AP conversation. See your way out of it. See your way out.
Contra mil máscaras. Lo tira.
Walk out of my bedroom. There's like two bears fucking in my bed, right? The comforter's torn up, shit's all over the place. You know, the pillows are all fucking asunder and whatnot. I mean, it's just a guy thing. You know, it's sort of shit you do. It's not like, you know,
Just made you do it.
they made me do fucking Super Bowl.
Y ha cambiado el panorama ahora mismo. Lanza pero falla. Parece que tiene la vista de la visión nublada.
Santana must think that Jones has 4 arms and 4 legs. By Jones. Lateral drop. Brother Jones is all over him. Hip lock takedown by Jones once again. I know. And every Santana fires a brother finition. Surprise. Jones fires quickly to the midsection.
There's the mic.
There you go. Salute. God bless. All right, guys.
Mighty Mike Master. Of this first wrestling.
And then the following week, they called me up and I said, Mike, you know, I had a really good match. And they called me up and said, Mike, we got you booked at 13 towns. I was like, oh, great, you know. And well, we got you in Des Moines, Kansas City. I'm like, whoa. I said, you know, I explained to you that my wife's gonna have the baby. You know, I said, I can't do that. He goes, well, look, he goes, you know, there's a lot of guys dying to get this job. I said, you know what? You better give it to him then, because there was no way in the world that I was gonna miss Jessica being born. I was there for Ricky. There's no way in the world I was going to miss my second daughter being born. And, I mean, did it hurt my career? Sure it did. Because then I said to him, well, you know, I'll give you a call in a couple months. I'm like, yeah, all right, well, forget that. That was the end of that. I was never going to get a job with them again after that because I turned them down. And, you know, but I never regretted that decision. Never regretted it.
My dad stopped being a professional wrestler right at the year that I was born. The reasoning behind that was, you know, my mom was 9 months pregnant. She was about to give birth to me, and his agent had called him and he said, hey, you know, Rocky, I got a gig for you out here. And he said to his manager, you know, I told you I didn't want to travel. I wanted to do local shows because my wife's about to give birth any day to my daughter. And the manager said to him, you know, Rocky, you know how many people would kill to be in your place? And he said, well, you know what? Give it to them. Do I think my dad ever regrets the decision of him being there for my birth? Absolutely not. My dad has never looked at me any way different. That is what he wanted to do. You know, to hear a story like that, knowing that my family will always be there for me no matter what, is the greatest gift I could possibly ever have.
But then all of a sudden, when they had him all over the place, he said, you know, my wife's having a baby. I don't want to travel like that. And I remember like that guy, Pat Patterson, who was the promoter, said, you know, Masters, he was just like, you know, I got 1,000 guys waiting for an opportunity. And he told them, then give it to them. And I was just like amazed. And I thought that the guy would call him back. He goes, oh, who'll call you back? He goes, oh, no, it's over.
Rocky, every time he tells that story, he never says, I regretted that, you know, that decision and stuff like that.
So that's why he can hold his head up high, you know, and know he did right by what his family did. Now, some other people might have went for the brass ring, you know, and God only knows what would have happened, you know.
But at least he admits that it wasn't
but he
costing his career, basically.
But that goes to show you the type of man that he is too, because some other people would look for the fame. But Rocky's a different type of person. He knew that fame was right there, and he said, you know what? Bafangul to fame, my family's more important, you know. And again, that's you know, a true testament of what type of man that he is.
He had stayed, our lives would have been different too, because I may have never met him or knew about the wrestling school. So it would have definitely changed the way life would have been, you know, I guess, for everybody.
Actitud de Mike Masters y dice venga. Y ahora viene el barbero. El señor Luz Sosa de Huescovina. Viene a esperar a Mike Masters. Ahí lo tiene. Y ven ustedes, amigos. Mike Masters perdiendo ahora todo su pelo. El barbero Luis Sosa comienza a quitar la veneno de Mike Masters. El público de pie observando lo que acontece aquí en el cuadrilátero. Y ustedes pueden ver. Protesta, dice no. Vean ustedes, amigos, cómo va quedando Mike Masters, perdiendo todo su pelo. Y Mil Máscaras, el vencedor, reclama su trofeo, que en esta vez es el cabello de Mike Masters. Parece estar en lágrimas Mike Masters. Se puede ver claramente en sus pantallas como Luz Sosa de West Covina, California, le da un corte de pelo al señor Mike Masters. It was hair versus mask, and the mask won. Era el pelo contra la máscara.
I wasn't a 9-to-5 guy. Okay, I was never going to be a 9-to-5 guy. That just wasn't in me. After being in the business for about 5 years, the wrestling business for about 5 years, I had an opportunity to get a job at Chase Manhattan in New York. Okay, so now I go down to Wall Street and I walk in and I see this guy in the office and I'm looking at this dude, right? Get the three-piece suit on. At the time it was three-piece suits, you know, and he's got the little wireframe glasses and he's sitting there and I'm like, this dude is nothing like me. And I walk in, so the guy's kind of got an attitude with me as soon as I walk in, you know. He goes, well, you know, job's between you and this other guy. He goes, but since, you know, you're friends with the vice president, he goes, it looks like you're going to get the job. Like, I could see this guy, you know. So I'm sitting there, I'm looking at him like, you piece of shit. I could snap your neck before you can blink your eyes. You're talking shit to me? So he says, well, I want you to redo your resume. I'm like, why? He goes, well, I want you to redo it. So I sat there and I thought for a minute. I said, I'll tell you what, thanks for the opportunity, but this is not for me.
You know, I don't even remember how Rocky and I actually met, but we bumped into each other, we hit it off, and then he started writing bail. And he just learned so quickly. He's always accessible, never, ever, ever complains. You know, he's just such an upbeat personality, an optimist, and he'll do anything for you. He's a special person.
I said, you know what, let me go and I'll take the test, I'll get licensed, and I could, you know, pick up some, you know, extra cash doing the bail bond stuff, and it's kind of how it started. So I'm going to call the jail first, and I'm going to call the guy's mom, because I'm going to have to meet her at my office, do the paperwork, get her to fill out all the paperwork, and then after we fill out the paperwork, I'll get an appointment at the county jail, I'll go down and post bail for him, and the guy can get out tonight. Okay. And what jail is he at? Say County? Okay. Hi, this is Mike from Nationwide Bail Bonds. Yeah, how you doing? I want to check on a bail for someone there. Okay, and you got to let me know, and you're going to have to meet me at the office. We have to fill out paperwork, and then I can go post the bail for him. Hi, this is Mike from Nationwide Bail Bonds. Yeah, I'm checking on a James. It was probably an arraignment, and now he's going to go to trial. He's going to go to trial, but you could. I mean, that the whole thing is you don't want him to sit in jail because who knows when his trial date is. It could be a month from now. It was a bail call, but he had a $100,000 bail. If this guy decides to skip, we're on the hook for $100,000. Can't do that because I just got a call from somebody, but it was a $100,000 bail. You might have talked to Ronnie before. She's going to have to sign for you, so he's following up with your wife right now.
I was drinking excessively in a bar with my boss, and I really don't remember much of the night outside of the drinking. And then when I was in a blackout, and then I got behind the wheel of a car, and I drove 40 miles an hour into the CVS wall.
I answer the phone, some guy's on the phone, and says, "Are you Michael Jones?" I'm like, "No." He says, "Are you Luann Jones's husband?" I said, "Yes, I am." "Who are you?" He goes, "I'm an EMT worker. Her wife was just in an accident on Broad Street." I'm like, "Holy shit." He goes, "We're taking her down to University Hospital right now." I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to be right there. I'm right around the corner. Just don't leave yet." He goes, "Look, we're getting her in the rig now. We're going to take her down. You can meet her down there." I said, "Don't leave yet." I said, "I'm ready." So I take off like a bat out of hell.
You know, I was really devastated to find out that my mother almost passed away that night.
I had severe head trauma. My spine was almost, you know, I mean, I fractured it bad. They said if I wasn't passed out that I could have aggravated it more and would have became crippled. The whole right side was kind of smashed. And my knee was out to here. And it looked like it was broken, but it wasn't. I had really strong bones thanks to working out with Rocky.
You know, my mom was Italian, and if you know anything about Italian families, the moms, and especially their firstborn son, although she always wanted a girl, but the firstborn son, is a special relationship, special bond. And my mom was always in shape, always was on a diet, always exercised. You know, we thought she'd live to 100. That porch there, my mom, right before she died, then she sat down on the porch in there, and she just kind of sat there and just looked around. She knew she was never coming back. And she kind of just sat on the porch. She had flowers all over the place. She loved flowers and that stuff. And it was the last time she was in the house.
You got a lot of memories, you know what I mean? I used to call my wife Poochie, you know? And I give her everything I could give her. The average guy, I gave her the best that I could give her. The day that she died, I said that God needed her more than I did. You know, because she's a good person and he needed her. And the day she died?
The day she diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah, well, what happened, his wife, Cindy, they took her to Rutherford, to a doctor in Rutherford, and she diagnosed that she had breast cancer.
Mommy, she was very old school, and she never went to a gynecologist
No,
or
she
anything.
waited too long.
So what happened was she had gotten a lump in her breast, and it was small, but she ignored it, and it kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually it got to the size of about 11. We didn't know this. We had no clue because she was a very private person.
His wife knew.
And then Lucille was the one that actually, a friend of mine's mom, actually, they were friends, and she said, look, you know, Esther, you have to go see the doctor. You know, that's not good. You have to go see the doctor. So that's when she went over to the doctor. She went to the gynecologist, and the gynecologist sent to her an oncologist, and that's when she was diagnosed with cancer.
And, you know, and the day that she died, I always remember the night that she died in a hospital, St. Barnabas Hospital. Her head was like this. So I said to the nurse, can't you take her head and put it straight forward? You know, and she opened her eyes, and I wanted her to know that I was right there at the end. I was in the next door. I was right there. And that was it. And then I told them, and they went berserk, you know.
You know, the weird thing was...
And the doctor, I said to the nurse, call the doctor. But the doctor knew. He didn't come up, you know, because they know.
You know, when she went into the hospital, we kind of had a vigil. It was, you know, my dad, myself, and my brother. And we were there 24 hours. And we would stay there. So it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and my dad, myself, my brother, and my brother's fiance at the time. And we're sitting there, and my dad says, look, you guys have been here all day long. Why don't you go to the solarium? You and Richard go to the solarium, take a little nap, and, you know, if anything comes up, I'll call you. And he stayed there, and my brother's fiance stayed in the room. My wife didn't come because I had Ricky, and she was a baby at the time. So we went to the solarium, and it was like, we were there for about 10 minutes. And, you know, when we were there, she was out. She was in a coma. And we went to the solarium, and we were sitting there. And about 10 minutes later, Katie, my brother's fiance, came in and got us and said, you better come back to the room. And we went back to the room, and my dad said, you know, she's gone. You know, and it was like she waited for us to leave. She didn't want to die in front of me and my brother, you know, and
yeah, it was...
she waited for us to leave the room.
She was a good mother, boy, I tell you. Very good. You couldn't find it better. You know, I said to them, I look at her picture and I'll tell her, I'll say, God needed you more than I did. And I was lucky to have you. I was lucky to have her. She was a terrific woman. Now, she was the strongest of the whole three of her family. And the first one to go.
Do you want
You
to?
hold it.
No, you want me to? You want to do it?
Yeah.
That's my mom, and that's when she graduated from high school. Yeah, she's a beautiful woman.
his mom passed away, it was a rough time for all of us, and I'm going to get I'm trying not to be emotional over it, but, we all think our moms are saints, and that's the way it should be. God bless you, still have yours, and, and your mom, and it's, but his mom was truly a saint. I mean, she would talk to us all the time, and,
Feed us and then you
she
scream at us
was,
for an hour.
and Mike was her favorite. I mean, it was him and Rich, but Mike was her favorite, She loves both her sons, but, the sun rose and set on Mike, and he knew that, And I think because she always knew that he could take care of himself, or if anything happened to her, he was so strong he could take care of everybody, and that's how he portrayed himself, with that strength, always that strength,
About 16 years ago, when we were filming this, my mother passed away. And I'll admit, I was a mama's boy, I was my mother's favorite. I told Rocky, I called him up and I said, hey, Rock, and Rocky kind of knew my mom, and I said, my mom passed away and all that. And that's when Rocky broke for me. And I met Mike. And Rocky said, Tom, my real name, he was close to his mom.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. You're right. Yeah.
And he had a real tight relationship with his mom, and he talked about his mom. And he told me, he's like, you're a man. I know what type of man you are, but, she's your mom. Don't feel ashamed of showing your affection for her. If you want to cry, cry. Rocky's lucky enough to still have his dad, but he told me at that time, he goes, not a day goes by that I don't think about my mom. Not a day goes by that I don't miss my mom. And he told me, he said something so profound at that time, and I bet you Rocky doesn't even remember. He says, you never get rid of the hurt. You just learn how to live with it. Or the loss, actually, he said that, the loss. And it's true, and that's held me to it. And he said, Tom, anytime you want to talk, anytime you want to cry, he says, just pick up that phone. He says, I'm there for you. And that bonded me to this man, and everybody else, sends you condolences, I'm sorry and stuff like that. But he actually put himself in my shoes, and he knew where I was coming from, but he was the sensitive side that he actually allowed me to see, and I can't thank him enough for that. And Rock, I love you for that, man.
Yeah, love you too, brother.
And it's something I've never said publicly, and now, in front of all you guys, but I love the guy.
I knew Mike was a wrestler, and he told me, he's got the best stories. There's no one that has better stories. But to me, Mike was just my friend. We watched football together. We had a good time. We'd go out to eat. And it was a little. I watched wrestling when I was younger, and I know most of the big name wrestling people, and so it would be a little odd when we go to dinner, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan would sit down and eat dinner with us. So it was one of those things that might throw me off a little bit, but for the most part, Mike was just my friend. But my father-in-law, when I got married, I was very close to my father-in-law. He was a great person. We spent a lot of time together. We used to play a lot of golf together, and he just had a good attitude. I really enjoyed hanging out with him, and he died very unexpectedly. It was very tragic, and it was very quick, and it crushed me. And it still affects me a lot. It's only been about 3 years, and I still have a really hard time with it. But I remember I was at the wake, and I was doing okay. I was kind of in the receiving line. I was standing with my wife, and people were coming through, and we were talking to them, and I was doing all right. And I was 5 feet from my father-in-law laying there in an open casket. And as soon as I saw Mike, I completely lost it. And it was just one of those things that he just gave me a hug, and he just held me for a while, and it was just true friendship. and it meant a lot to me for him to come to begin with. But I kind of felt like I needed him to be there, and it was one of those big things to me in my mind. It meant a lot. You know, it's the sort of thing that, you know, he's just the kind of person that, you know, to be quite blunt, when the shit hits the fan, there's certain people that you want to be standing behind you, and he's definitely one of those people. So
half the time he's throwing the shit in the fan, but that's something else.
That's kind of a different story. Yeah. But I've always I appreciated him, and I love him very much. He is my good friend. So, and he always will be.
Talking about this now, I would say that if my dad missed my birth, I wouldn't be disappointed in him at all. Even if my dad did miss it, I would completely understand now, but maybe if I was younger, I wouldn't.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he's just like this driving force. It must be something in his character because he's been this way, you know, for forever since I known him. And he'd always say, even though it looks like he's racing and running and this and that, he always says, slow and steady wins the race.
I'm Tara Grande, and I'm from Parsippany, New Jersey. I've known Rocky for a little over 2 years. When I was approximately 20 years old, I started to gain a lot of weight with no real rhyme or reason, and it was happening pretty rapidly. I had gone through a lot of testing and things like that, and nothing was really being answered. I tried every diet, I was working out like crazy, and nothing was happening. So I ended up figuring out the problem. I was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome, which also made me insulin resistant. So with that, I had to be put on a special diet and put on a special regimen in terms of working out. Since then, I've also been diagnosed with a thyroid issue. So I'm working with a lot of things that are coming against me.
Did you like him? Did you not like him?
I walked into the gym, and at the time there were 3 people training with him. And I looked around the room, and everybody seemed like they were having a good time. It was a positive atmosphere. Everybody was smiling. And, you know, I kind of explained to Rocky a little bit what was going on with me and why I was here and what I needed to do. And, you know, he kind of just made an instant connection with me. And, you know, he was like, all right, we can do this. We'll focus. I'll put you on a regime, and we'll get there together. You know, he explained to me that it's going to take dedication and that it's going to be at a pace that's normal. It's not something that I'm going to see instant results. It's something that I have to stay the course with. So really, I just felt really comfortable with that. I believed in what he was saying, and I've been with him ever since. He was so genuine that it was hard to ignore that. With Rocky, it was more or less he listened to what I had to say, and he translated into what he could do. And really, it's just been genuine, positive support through the entire time that I've been with him. So it's really a connection that I've made that I have not been able to do in all of the years previous to that.
If you had to say one thing to Rocky, what would you say?
I really just want to say thank you. I am so grateful and so lucky that at that moment he came into my life, because he's really helped me.
Without a doubt. No doubt in my mind. If I stop pushing, I will die. There's no doubt in my mind. I think I'm going to live to 100. So, yeah, I have enough time to achieve what I want. You know, I would hopefully like to achieve it, you know, relatively soon. Like, hopefully I could hit the goals that I want to hit in the next 5 years. Because after I do that and I have that success, because then I'm going to be moving on to the next phase. Then I want to change a lot of things in my life. I want to do different things. You know, my training right now is very regimented. It's, you know, I mean, I'm like clockwork, because I have my regiment that I need to do in order to achieve the goals that I have set for myself now. You know, I don't want to get up. I get up every morning at 4:30 in the morning to do my, do cardio and work out. I don't want to have to do that in 5 years from now. I'd like to get up like a normal person, get up maybe at 6 o'clock or 6:30 and do those things. But like I said, I would have the day to do what I wanted to do. Maybe I want to get on a bike and take a ride and ride all the way down to the Jersey Shore. I can't do that now. But that's what that'll be the next phase for me. To be able, but I need to accomplish the things that I have going on now in order to set that up.